starting off today, we want to thank all the veterans that have served this country, and I always say, we're the home of the free because of the brave. So, a lot of people, veterans, I want to thank. I know my grandfather, Willie Wright, was in the Army, and I've got two uncles, Lloyd Wright and Larry Wright, that's both served in Afghanistan and different wars. So, I want to thank all the veterans and appreciate all the sacrifices they've made and their families to keep us free and keep us safe.
We are here with head coach Jody Wright ahead of the Racers matchup with in-state opponent University of Kentucky this week. We'll open it up for any questions at this time. Doesn't get any easier, does it?
Well, Kentucky, another great opponent. Got so much respect for Coach Stoops, his staff, and the program that he's built at Kentucky. When I think of Kentucky, since he's been the head coach there, you think of tough, physical. They've been a consistent winner. I think they'd won 2 games a year before he took over, and every year you've seen them get better, and they've been taking them in top 10 rankings before, and I know I've played against them a couple times, whether I was at South Carolina or Alabama, and you always came out of that game a little black and blue, and had some great battles with him, and he's a heck of a coach. And Coach Walford, their offensive line coach, is probably one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. Brad White's done a great job at DC, and then his brother, Coach Stoops, his brother Mike Stoops, excellent defensive mind, and so they got a great staff. And Coach Hood, who's previous head coach here, class act, on the staff there. So he's surrounded by a lot of good coaches, and that's probably the reason that program's been as good as it has been all these years. But yes, a great opponent and great opportunity for our guys to get to go play an SEC game.
One thing playing Mizzou, who we knew was going to be good, and they've now started rebounding a little bit.
Yep.
Kentucky's another matter, though, in state.
Yeah, and we will have guys on our team, that know some of their players that probably played against them in high school in different areas, and so it'll be a challenge. They played a great game against Tennessee in a hostile environment. Anytime you can go on the road in the SEC, especially like Tennessee, and they had a lot of guys injured, a lot of guys banged up. That they lost during the game, and some coming into the game. But, they were right there toe-to-toe with Kentucky to the end. And, right now there's probably not a hotter team in the country. Ole Miss, who they went on the road and were able to beat Ole Miss on the road. So, like I said, they have, and played Georgia to a 1-point game. So, they're it's kind of like our conference in the SEC. Anybody can beat anybody any week, but they are definitely a talented football team. And, it's like I said, Coach Stoops is the DNA of his football teams. Usually they're solid on defense. He's a great defensive mind. And you see them, they're big up the middle, but solid all 3 levels. They can run at linebacker, but their nose guard, Mr. Deion Walker. So he's a massive man, and he plays like a man, and as usual, they got some good edge rushers, and I know they've had a couple guys banged up at corner, but they are solid on all 3 levels and played some good defense. And offensively, starts with the quarterback, Vandergriff. I actually recruited his dad's school when I was at the University of South Carolina, so he's a coach's son. You can tell that he's smart, very talented guy. It's anytime it's your, he's probably like some of our transfer quarterbacks getting used to everything. But he's a heck of a player, can make all the throws, arm talent, all that. So he's tough. He can beat you with his legs too, very athletic. And they've got, some talented guys behind him, Winsat and the freshman, Bowley. So, we definitely got to prepare for some good quarterback play, but they're solid up front in the offensive line, and got some playmakers at receiver. And, Mr. Brown is probably, the best kick returner in the country. So we definitely got to have a plan for that. But, right now we got to see if we even got a kicker. So we might be having kickoff tryouts this week. So, if we can figure that part out, but probably, we got to be prepared for all the stuff, the danger they cause you with anytime you kick him the ball.
Bye week.
Yeah.
What do you expect? What kind of tricks are they going to have up their sleeve?
Yeah, anytime you come off a bye week, I hope they're, anytime, you've played the physical schedule they have, I'm sure they're like us during our bye week, wanting to get some guys that have been battered and bruised back healthy. But, they've got, anytime you come off a bye week, it always gives you a chance to put in some new plays, actually see some new players, maybe a guy's coming along and now it's like, hey, during the bye week, let's rep him more with the starters and throw him up there in the big leagues, I'd say, and see if he's ready to go. So I'm sure they did like any team. I always say in a bye week you want to come out, and try to be a better football team than you were going into the bye week. But, yes, you got to be prepared for some new schemes. And a lot of people do a lot of self-scout during the bye week. So it's like, hey, we're in this formation. We're a little tendency to do this, or, hey, this is kind of our, what we've been showing on third down on defense, whatever it is. You do a lot of self-scout. So, you got to be prepared for everything every week. But a bye week, sometimes you have a little more time to self-reflect and switch up some things.
Second trip to an SEC school this
Yeah.
year. You've been in some other hostile environments. You kind of going into these kind of buildings.
Yeah.
You guys anymore.
Yeah, Missouri was a hostile environment on Thursday night, and Kentucky's got great tradition there. They've had some big wins at that stadium, and so it'll be an early game. So, but we'll expect a great crowd and a hostile environment. I hope our guys. I'm trying to sell it to them is, it's a great opportunity to go, and show yourself against one of the. An SEC opponent and a program that's one of the top programs, consistently in the country every year, a top 25 program consistently. And, so we're going to have to be at our best. And, I tell guys all the time, you better not flinch or blink, because it can get on you fast.
Are these the kind of games where, you really learn a lot about who is cut out to play with this?
Yeah.
Who wants to be racing?
Yeah, and I challenge our guys anytime we put on the helmet, we expect to play to a standard, and anytime you go out there, of course you expect to win. But getting to play an opponent like Kentucky in a SEC stadium, we'll have some guys unfortunately due to some injuries we're having and some roster issues we're having. We'll have some guys, maybe even some freshmen that are going to be playing their first football game Saturday. We'll have some other guys that, we have only played 2 games and still have 2 games left on their red shirt. So we'll have a lot of young guys because of some injuries and different things. I still think we got close to over 40-something players on the injury report. So, I know Kentucky's dealing with some injuries too. So everybody is this time of year, especially if you play in the SEC or the Missouri Valley. It's like I say every week, it's a black and blue conference. And so we'll have some guys that'll probably be playing their first football Saturday against Kentucky. So, I always say, we signed up for this, so let's get ready to go.
I think things are a little bit different, though, from when y'all played Missouri. I think y'all are a little more sure of yourselves. I think you got a quarterback who's playing pretty confident, right?
Yeah, and Jaden's playing probably his best football of the year, quarterback, which you want that this time of year. We also, we've got some guys that have gotten better every week. Some guys that, not where we want them to be. So we're going to probably try some new guys this week at some certain positions. But Jaden, yes, and the offensively, last week we were able to convert some scores and especially down the red zone and move the ball and keep drives alive. And he did a good job sometimes with his arm, sometimes with him a good decision he made, and sometimes, with his legs. But we're going to need all that and then some this weekend. So, we got it all starts with protecting. You got to give your quarterback a chance. And anytime you play a team with Kentucky that's probably going to be outmanned a little bit from a personnel standpoint, you got to stay out of negative plays and try to stay ahead of the chains, because, if you get, third and long and third behind the chains, they've got the pass rush and different guys that can, cause some, I always say there's negative plays and then there's disastrous plays, which, usually sack fumbles and interceptions and different things, because it's a lot easier to play defense if third long they're throwing it and this and that. But we got to stay ahead of the sticks and we got to play clean football no matter who you play. And defensive we got to tackle. They got some big big, strong running backs. And, that's one thing about Kentucky. Coach Stoops, ever since he's been the head coach there, they've always been able to run the ball physically. And I'd say kind of impose your will on people and play good defense. And they've always been solid on special teams, and, no different this year. So, we've got to tackle, we've got to get lined up and keep the ball in front of us. And then we got to play solid on special teams,